Welcome to Life Begins at 50, a space where we share real stories, heartfelt advice, and timeless experiences crafted especially for those of us over 50. Here, we don't sugarcoat aging. We speak about it honestly, with compassion, and sometimes with a few surprises. Today, we're diving into 12 uncomfortable things seniors often do as they age, things that are real, but rarely spoken about. Have you ever found yourself talking to a familiar face, but couldn't recall their name? Or suddenly felt exhausted after doing something as simple as making tea? Maybe your body has started reacting strangely to the weather, or you've caught yourself losing your temper over little things. If you've quietly experienced these moments and wondered, is it just me? This video is for you. Together, we'll follow the story of Elena, a vibrant 67-year-old who was once active and full of life, but is now facing the unexpected realities of growing older. So be sure to like, subscribe, and join us as we gently uncover these 12 unspoken truths and discover that you are not alone. There are ways to meet each challenge with grace, wisdom, and quiet strength. 1. Forgetting names, sudden fatigue, and weight gain without warning. Running into someone you know, but not remembering their name. It sounds like something that only happens to busy people. But for Elena, 67, who lives in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, it was both embarrassing and unsettling. Just last week, while browsing fresh vegetables at the local farmer's market, she bumped into Marge, her former neighbor of 10 years. They used to exchange recipes and walk together in the mornings. But when Marge smiled and said hello, Elena recognized the face, but the name completely escaped her. Though she managed to keep the conversation going, deep inside she felt awkward and even a little afraid. Am I starting to lose it? She wondered. The truth is, forgetting names or small details is very common in aging. It's not necessarily a sign of illness more often. It's just the brain processing more slowly after decades of storing information. The fix? Simple, practical habits. Elena started jotting down names and little stories in a pocket notebook. She also sets reminders on her phone, like Monday yoga class, Joyce with red scarf. Just a few lines make a big difference in how confident she feels. And that was just one part of it. Lately, Elena has also noticed an unusual fatigue. Folding laundry or making lunch leaves her winded. She used to work in pharmaceuticals, standing for 8 hours a day without issue. Now, even a 10-minute walk makes her legs ache. Then there's her weight, once stable, now slowly creeping up. And yet, her diet hasn't changed. What's happening? The answer is coming in the next part. But first, have you ever experienced something similar to Elena's story? Share it in the comments below. Your experience might just help someone else feel a little less alone. 2. More doctor visits than ever, and no one warned you. If there's one thing that made Elena feel like she was truly aging, it wasn't her gray hair or slower steps. It was her calendar full of doctor's appointments. Living in Flagstaff, Arizona, surrounded by crisp mountain air and postcard-perfect scenery, she thought retirement would be relaxing and health-filled. But reality had other plans. In the past 3 months alone, she visited clinics 7 times for blood pressure checks, cholesterol screenings, ultrasounds, and other minor concerns. She sighed. I thought I'd finally have time to enjoy life. Now my weeks revolve around waiting rooms. And she's not alone. For many people over 60, life starts to orbit around checkups, lab results, and juggling specialist schedules. It's overwhelming, especially for someone who's lived independently and rarely needed medical attention before. But here's the thing that no one tells you. These visits aren't signs of weakness. They're signs you're being proactive with your health. After weeks of stress, Elena shifted her perspective. She created a health journal where she tracks test results, symptoms, questions for her doctor, and appointment notes. She even sets reminders on her phone a day before each visit. And the result? She doesn't feel like a passive patient anymore. She feels like a manager of her own health, informed, prepared, and in control. Surprisingly, when she felt more in control, she also started sleeping better. No more lying awake worrying if she forgot something important. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by medical visits and follow-ups? Share your tips or experiences below. You never know. Your story might ease someone else's worries and help them feel more empowered too. 3. When friends start to disappear and the house feels too quiet. In the peaceful town of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Charles, 72, used to have a busy social calendar. Wednesday mornings meant coffee with old friends at the corner cafe. Weekends were for fishing trips or domino games at the senior center. Life was full and familiar, but slowly things changed. One friend moved in with his daughter across the country. Another passed away unexpectedly. The last became too frail to leave the house. And just like that, Wednesday mornings turned silent. No one ever told me silence could feel so heavy, Charles admitted. I never feared quiet, until it became the only sound in the room. Loneliness often sneaks in during our later years, not just because of loss, but because invitations stop coming, phones ring less, and long conversations become rare. The good news? Connection is still possible, even if it looks different than before. Charles made a small decision that made a big difference. He signed up for a local painting class at the community center. He'd never painted in his life, but that wasn't the point. What mattered was showing up, being surrounded by others who, like him, were also learning how to begin again. He laughed. The first fish I painted looked like a shoe, but we all laughed together, and in that moment I didn't feel alone. If you've been feeling that same quiet emptiness, take a step, just one. Try a hobby group, join a virtual chat, or send a message to someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Connection doesn't have to be loud or large. It just needs to be real. 4. When your body stops cooperating and sleep slips away too. Lillian, age 70, lives in the quiet suburbs of Eugene, Oregon. She used to be someone who never sat still. Morning walks with her dog, afternoon gardening, and she'd easily climb the stairs in her house without a second thought. But lately, something feels different. Simply bending over to tie her shoes makes her dizzy. Climbing 10 steps leaves her knees aching. Tasks that once took no effort now come with hesitation. Will I be able to get up if I crouch down? She often wonders. And it doesn't stop at daylight. Nighttime brings its own struggle. Lillian heads to bed by 10 p.m., but by 2 a.m., she's wide awake, staring into the dark, mind spinning, unable to return to sleep. There's no noise, no real reason, just restlessness and fatigue that lingers through the next day. Sound familiar? Loss of mobility and disrupted sleep are quiet but common realities of aging. But that doesn't mean you're powerless. Lillian began making small changes. A 5-minute morning stretch, calming music before bed, and no screens an hour before sleep. After a few weeks, she noticed something. Her body started to cooperate again. It's not about running marathons or sleeping 8 hours straight. It's about listening to your body and adjusting your pace. As Lillian puts it, I don't move fast anymore, but I keep moving. And I may sleep less, but I sleep deeper. If you're feeling like your body has slowed or sleep has become elusive, remember, this isn't defeat. It's simply a new rhythm, one that calls for patience, gentleness, and honoring where you are now. 5. When you can't hear clearly or see as far, and start feeling left out. Raymond, 74, lives in Toledo, Ohio, and spent most of his life as a high school history teacher. He loved classical music, long conversations at the local cafe, and always prided himself on being attentive and sharp. But recently, he started feeling out of place, even in the middle of a crowd. I see people's mouths moving, see them laughing, but I can't catch what they're saying, he admitted. So I smile along, even when I have no idea what the joke was. It began with needing subtitles for TV, then straining to read the tiny print on medication bottles. Raymond, once known for his keen eyes and ears, suddenly found himself watching the world from a blurry, muffled distance. And the hardest part, he felt invisible, like he was there, but not really present. Hearing and vision decline are natural parts of aging, but what shouldn't be natural is the shame that comes with using hearing aids or stronger glasses. Eventually, Raymond visited an audiologist and, after some trial and error, began using a hearing aid. The first time I heard my granddaughters laugh clearly again. It was worth every moment of hesitation, he said. He also switched to multifocus reading glasses and now keeps a small flashlight in his pocket for reading menus in dim restaurants. Little adjustments. Big difference. If you found yourself feeling a little more disconnected lately, remember, you deserve to see clearly, to hear fully, and to participate, not just observe. Aids and tools aren't signs of decline. They're bridges back to connection. 6. When weather becomes a silent enemy. Dorothy, 69, lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota, a place known for its snowy winters and bright, sunny summers. She used to love both seasons. Cold days meant cozy knitting sessions indoors, while summer afternoons were spent tending her flower boxes on the porch. But over the last 2 years, things began to change. Winter chill now bites deep into her bones, even with thick layers on. And in summer, a short walk to the corner store leaves her dizzy and overheated. My body just doesn't regulate temperature the way it used to, Dorothy says. It either doesn't respond, or it takes too long. This increased sensitivity to temperature is surprisingly common in older adults. As we age, our internal thermostat becomes less reliable. But few people talk about it, until it starts disrupting everyday comfort. Dorothy learned to adapt. Instead of wearing one bulky coat in winter, she now layers thin clothing to better adjust to changes. She always carries gloves, a scarf, and a small hand warmer in her bag during cold days. In the summer, she avoids going out between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m., uses ceiling fans at home, keeps a chilled water bottle nearby, and sprays cool mist on her wrists to refresh her body naturally. These aren't drastic changes, but they've helped her feel more in control again, no matter the season. If you've noticed that hot days feel hotter and cold days colder, don't ignore it. Taking small steps to manage your environment is part of caring for yourself, gently, wisely, and with awareness. 7. When irritability appears without warning and you don't know why. Frank, 75, lives in Savannah, Georgia, and was once known as the calmest man on the block. His neighbors respected him for being kind, soft-spoken, and always willing to lend a helping hand. But recently, something shifted, and even Frank didn't notice it at first. One day, he snapped because the mail arrived 2 days late. Another time, he lost his temper when his favorite cereal was out of stock. And just last week, he found himself sharply scolding his grandson for accidentally spilling a glass of water at the dinner table. After every outburst, I feel ashamed, Frank admitted. I don't want to become that grumpy old man, but I don't understand why I get so worked up. Truth is, many older adults experience this. Hormonal changes, poor sleep, physical fatigue, or ongoing stress can lower emotional tolerance. Your fuse just gets shorter, without you realizing it. But here's the key. You don't have to let irritability run the show. Frank made a small but powerful change. Each morning, he wrote down 3 things he was grateful for in a little notebook: his morning coffee, a good night's sleep, or even a sunny sky. He also learned to pause when he felt himself getting irritated, a few deep breaths before reacting, and slowly, the calm returned, not because the world got easier, but because his inner world became quieter. If you've noticed yourself becoming more short-tempered, don't be hard on yourself. Emotions are part of aging too. But how we respond to them, that's where real wisdom lives. 8. When you need help but don't want to ask, and the fear of losing independence creeps in. Ruth, 71, lives alone in a small house in Boulder, Colorado. She was once a military nurse, strong, self-reliant, and always in control, whether in a hospital emergency or raising 2 children on her own. So when she started struggling to reach high shelves or felt exhausted after mopping the floor, she didn't tell anyone. She kept pushing through, pretending nothing had changed. Even after a minor fall in the bathroom, she said nothing, just covered the bruises with long sleeves. I was afraid, Ruth admitted. Afraid that if I asked for help, people would think I was weak, or worse, try to put me in a nursing home. This fear of losing independence is real for many older adults. It's not just about needing help. It's about feeling like you're losing control over your life, over your identity. But things changed after a gentle conversation with her daughter. Instead of offering help outright, her daughter asked, "Mom, how do you want to do this? What would you like help with? And what do you still want to do on your own?" That simple question made all the difference. Ruth felt respected. She agreed to hire someone to clean the house once a week, but she still tended to her flower garden. Her daughter picked up heavy groceries, but Ruth kept driving herself to meet friends every Saturday. Because true independence isn't doing everything alone. It's knowing what to hold on to, and when it's okay to lean on others. Have you ever felt nervous about asking for help? If so, remember, accepting support doesn't make you weak. It shows wisdom, courage, and a deep understanding of how to keep living life on your own terms. 9. Accepting change and living honestly with aging. In the peaceful countryside of Vermont, Janice, 76, begins every morning the same way, sitting on her old wooden porch chair, sipping tea, and looking out over the fields. A retired literature teacher, Janice has always cherished beauty, quiet moments, and a slower pace of life. But for a while, she struggled to accept that she was growing old. When her hands began to tremble slightly while writing, she stopped journaling. When her walks became slower, she stopped joining the walking group. "I didn't feel like myself anymore," she confessed. Then, one afternoon, her 12-year-old granddaughter Emily gently held her hand and said, "Grandma, I love being with you. You tell stories better than anyone." That simple sentence brought Janice to tears, not out of sadness, but out of realization. Her value had never disappeared. It had just changed form. You see, aging doesn't mean losing who you are. It means transforming, from quick to thoughtful, from doing to observing, from proving yourself to embracing your worth. The aches, the forgetfulness, the slower steps, they aren't flaws. They're reminders. And when we stop resisting and start listening, they become guides for how to live more gently, more fully. Here at Life Begins at 50, we believe aging isn't the end of the story. It's the most meaningful chapter. A chapter rich in insight, connection, and quiet power. If you saw yourself in today's stories, we'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share your own journey, because none of us should walk this path alone. Like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more real, wise conversations. You're not fading, you're evolving. 10. When your mind starts to wander, and you can't focus like before. Harold, 73, lives in Spokane, Washington. He spent decades as an electrical engineer, someone who could read circuit diagrams like a novel and solve complex problems in minutes. He prided himself on his sharp mind and quick thinking. But recently, things started to feel off. Each morning, he reads the newspaper, but now he has to go over the same paragraph 2 or 3 times before it sinks in. While telling a story, he sometimes forgets what he was saying halfway through, and more than once, he's walked into a room only to forget why he went there. "It's not that I forget everything," Harold said. "It's like my brain has static, like a radio that's slightly off frequency." This kind of mental fog is common with aging, not necessarily dementia, but a natural slowdown in how quickly and clearly the brain processes information. But here's the good news. Your brain can still be trained. Harold started doing Sudoku puzzles in the morning and learning to play the ukulele, something he'd never done before. He focused on doing one task at a time, rather than multitasking. He also made small changes to his diet and sleep habits, cutting back on sugar and processed foods, and prioritizing rest. One of his most helpful tools? A large note on his fridge that reads, "What's one thing I will finish today?" It helps him stay grounded and purposeful without feeling overwhelmed. Most importantly, Harold reminded himself daily to be patient with his own mind. If you felt your thinking slow down or your focus slip, don't panic. It's not a failure. It's a gentle signal to slow down, to breathe, and to treat your brain with the same kindness you offer your body. You're not losing your sharpness. You're just learning a new rhythm, and that rhythm can still carry you far. 11. When old hobbies lose their spark, and you wonder, have I changed? Martha, 70, lives in Charleston, South Carolina, and for most of her life, Baking was her greatest joy. Every Sunday afternoon, her kitchen would be filled with the warm, sweet smells of cinnamon rolls, apple pies, or almond cookies. Neighbors would say, "If you can smell butter and spice, Martha's smiling again." But in recent months, her oven has been quiet. The flour sits untouched. The recipe cards still hang on the wall, but she doesn't feel drawn to them. She starts mixing ingredients, then stops. She flips through her favorite baking magazine, then sets it down. "I don't feel sad," she says. "I'm not busy. I just don't feel the spark like I used to." Losing interest in activities you once loved is a quiet shift that many older adults experience, but few talk about. Some worry it's a sign of depression. Others try to force themselves to relive old routines, hoping to recapture a feeling that no longer comes naturally. But Martha came to a gentle realization. Sometimes our passions age, too, and need to evolve. While she no longer enjoys baking for hours, she's found new joy teaching online cooking classes to young home bakers. She still loves dessert, but now it's about sharing her knowledge, not making the perfect tart. Each hobby marks a chapter in life, she reflects. And eventually, it's not about keeping the same habits. It's about keeping the joy those habits once brought, even if it looks a little different now. So if you found yourself drifting from the things you once loved, take heart. You haven't lost yourself. You're just growing into a new version of who you are, one that still holds the same soul, just with new colors. 12. When you start wondering, what happens if I'm no longer here? Leonard, 78, lives in Boise, Idaho. He spent his life as a skilled carpenter, someone who built sturdy wooden chairs, family dinner tables, and the kind of furniture that lasts for generations. Lately, Leonard has found himself looking at those pieces differently, not as projects, but as legacies. He wonders, who will sit at this table after I'm gone? Will they know I built it with my own hands? No one teaches us how to think about death while we're still living well. But for many older adults, those quiet questions begin to surface, not out of fear, but out of a deeper awareness of time's value. Leonard doesn't speak of dying. Instead, he calls it leaving something behind. He started writing, a small notebook filled with lessons he's learned throughout life, from how to sand a board properly, to how to love one woman for 50 years. He wrote notes to each grandchild, simple things like, "Never slam a door," or "Always answer your mom's phone call." It's not about preparing to go. It's about marking a trail for others to follow. And the truth is, we all leave something behind. Whether it's a house, a phrase we used to say, or a habit someone learned by watching us. The real question isn't if we leave something. It's what we choose to leave. If you found yourself thinking about that lately, know this. It doesn't mean life is ending. It means you're waking up to the meaning of every day, the depth of every word, and the beauty of passing on something that truly matters. Aging doesn't take everything away. It simply asks us to keep only what's worth holding on to. Aging isn't something to fear. It's simply a new chapter, a time when the body may slow down, but the soul grows deeper. The frustrations you've faced, forgetfulness, sleepless nights, aching joints, loneliness, or needing help, aren't signs of failure. They're gentle reminders that you've lived long enough to need a different kind of care. Here at Life Begins at 50, we believe aging isn't the end. It's the richest chapter in your life story. A chapter filled with wisdom, connection, and quiet strength. If today's story spoke to you, we invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. Don't forget to like, share this video with someone you care about, and subscribe to our channel so we can continue walking this journey together with dignity, clarity, and heart, because aging isn't fading, it's deepening.